Well, this is a real cluster messy thingy. This is a problem. Oh, no, it's not. We're going to make a pinhole lens for a Nikon camera. This is everything I need to make a pinhole lens. What we have here is a Nikon body cap. That's a little better. We have a Nikon body cap and back cap. Not necessary. Always. I was hoping that it would lock in place, but I guess that's what I get for $1. Got a 49mm UV filter, really cheap, nasty one. It's kind of scratched, which isn't necessary, but nice to have. I don't have it here, but a 49mm lens cap will fit over this. Not necessary, but nice to have. A box with a hole in it, that's necessary. Superglue. If you're going to put the lens filter on, the filter ring, you'll need this. One thing, anytime you use superglue for a camera, don't do it. It's a bad idea. Never ever use superglue in a camera repair, because superglue, crazy glue, those off-gas glue for a long time, and that glue will adhere to your lens elements if you have them in the same box. So if you're going to build this the way that I'm going to build it, don't ever store it with another piece of camera equipment. You'll ruin it. Scissors, need these. Electrician's tape, Scotch tape, nail press, nail punch or nail set rather, not mandatory but helpful. Hammer, drill bits. We actually only need one drill bit. I'm going to get that big drill bit out right now. Where's the big one? It's on the bottom, obviously. It's on the bottom because that's what makes great video. Okay, drill bit. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the glass out of this UV filter. Now there's two ways to do it. Most UV filters have two notches in this ring here. So if you have a spanner wrench, you can just unscrew this, which I could do. But if you have a cheap filter where that can't come out, there's another way to do that. I'm going to show you how to do that too. This way you can see how I've done it, and this is a pretty safe method. I've done this before. I'm going to take some pieces of Scotch tape here. Sorry for that banging so close to the microphone. Put a plus, and then another plus, this one going perpendicular to the first. Yeah, you can see where this is going. We're going to break this lens with the hammer and the nail punch. Putting it so that there is more space downward here. You can probably see that the thicker part of the filter ring is towards the bottom. I want the thicker part towards the bottom because I want the nail punch to have somewhere to go after I hit it with the hammer. Now I can see the tape in there. The tape is important because it's going to keep the glass from going everywhere once it shatters. Did that do it? Nope, that didn't do it. That did it. Open up the box here. I'm going to open it this way so that the glass doesn't just go flying everywhere. The biggest thing that you want to do is keep this glass contained. I don't recommend actually doing this unless you have to, because it's a good way to cut yourself. And glass will eventually become someone's problem. There we go. It's about the best you can do with that. So you can see that the tape has kept almost all of the glass contained, which is really what you want. And I don't have any on my white backdrop that I can see. That's good. A little tiny piece there. Now it's in the garbage disposal where it needs to be. Alright. And in the process, I have jacked up this retaining ring. Fabulous. I was hoping to see if I could salvage that. Guess not. Oh, it's just plastic anyway. Alright, in the garbage with that. So now we have a filter ring. What we're going to do with that, it's one of the last steps, we're going to crazy glue it on here. This way we can do filter effects with the pinhole that we're going to make, or put on a lens shade to cut down on glare. Makes it a much more usable pinhole lens. Another piece of glass into the garbage disposal with you. I rent. I don't care what goes in the garbage disposal. Okay, now we're going to try to center this hole as much as possible. It doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to center the hole in the aluminum. That looks pretty good. And you might be able to see that that cracked the lens cap just a little bit, plastic. And into the garbage disposal with you. And you little piece too. So it actually cracked the plastic a little bit, but that's okay. It's not the end of the world. Oops, I'm going to pardon my reach here. I'm going to take this drill bit. Careful if you do this the way that I just did it, which was very, very unsafe. Don't cut yourself. If you do this and you injure yourself in any way, I recommend you actually not do this, ever. This is just for educational purposes. If you do this, though, and you injure yourself, that's your own deal. Okay. So next we're going to take a piece of aluminum, and this piece of aluminum, to give you an idea of scale, is slightly larger than a piece of flat chewing gum. It's also much larger than we actually need. You know what I just realized I forgot? To get something with which to punch the hole. That's very frustrating. So we're going to put that aluminum there in the center. Oops, made a mistake. We want the reflective side out. And the reason is because the matte side will reflect a little bit less light, and having the matte side facing inward will cause slightly less diffraction. Now we're going to take the electrician's tape, and we're going to cut a piece of it that's, I'd say that's about 2 inches long. I'm going to cut it into 3 strips. Cut those in half. Tear that, doesn't have to be perfect. There we go. Now I've got 6 little pieces of electrician's tape, which I'm going to put around like this. And remembering as I do this, in as much as is possible, to not let the aluminum foil bunch. So I'm pressing the electrician's tape flat away from the aluminum foil's center in an effort to keep it from bunching. And at minimum, I want to go all the way around. It's pretty close. So that I can keep a light, tight seal, and so that no light comes in from the outside. Now, in a perfect world, we would take enough electrician's tape to go over the entire center. I'm going to do that after I finish filming the video. I'm not going to bore you with me cutting ever smaller pieces of electrician's tape. One thing about making this hole is you want to use something circular and tiny. The smaller the hole, the better. This is going to sit about 50 millimeters from the film plane, maybe a little bit less. So if you want to calculate your pinhole, you take the hole's diameter and you divide it into the focal length. So let's assume that this is a 50 millimeter pinhole. If I make a 1 millimeter hole, this is actually smaller than a millimeter. If I make a 1 millimeter hole, that gives me f50, which is small, but not small enough to be a pinhole camera, not an effective one anyway. Let's say that I made a 0.5 millimeter, that would give me an f100. I'm actually shooting for 1/3 of a millimeter because I want an f150 or smaller pinhole camera. I have here a safety pin. This is a very tiny brass safety pin. The point of it goes down to less than 1/4 of a millimeter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to very carefully put the point of it through the front of the aluminum foil and try to go just until the back of the foil is pierced. That was that. Now, I'm going to try to clean this up just a little bit. Another thing you can use, which is effective though not as good, is a staple which has been filed into the proper shape. It's a lot of work. There we go. Using my finger to get... The aluminum foil is really soft, so the ridges on my finger will get any burrs and things like that out of the way, at least well enough for this. This is not intended to be a serious photography project. It's a fun thing, something you can use to learn or to take some interesting photos with. Don't expect to become a professional making a lens like this. Now, the next thing we're going to do... come on. I'm actually going to find a different body cap later. Not having a good body cap is unacceptable. Next thing we're going to do is I'm sizing up this filter ring so it'll sit in there pretty nicely. I'm going to run a bead of superglue around the edge of this lens cap. Man, that stinks. I don't understand why people get high off this stuff. It's just giving me a headache. And put that, get it seated correctly. There we go. Got it seated correctly-ish. It's off by a little. I'm gonna get it. Okay, got it. And I glued my fingers to it. Damn it. Just a minute, I'm going off camera here. All better. Didn't hurt, promise. Okay, so now we're going to leave this to sit and dry overnight. The crazy glue probably doesn't need to dry that long, but I once crazy glued my foot to a floor, the whole foot, and part of that foot's still on that floor 25 years later. It hurt a lot. So I don't like to take chances with crazy glue anymore. Anyway, so this is basically done. I'm going to put a 49mm lens cap on it tomorrow, and a different body cap that doesn't fall off all the time. That's what I get for $1. And that's it. Now the nice thing, when using this, you put it on the front of your DSLR or film SLR, and you've now converted your SLR into a pinhole camera. And the time it took me is much less than this video's time, and the materials were $1 for the lens cap, the body cap, and rear cap. Who knows what that filter cost? Pennies. I got it with a whole bunch of other stuff, and it was kind of a cheesy filter. And then the aluminum foil is basically free because I'm using almost none of it, as well as the tape and things like that. So, simple project, and I wish I could say that I have some samples to give you, but I haven't actually taken a pinhole camera photo like this yet. So anyway, thanks. I hope this video was useful and fun. If it was, give me a thumbs up. You can also subscribe right down here to see future photography and non-photography videos. And if you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment. I'm pretty good about responding to the comments fairly quickly. Other than that, thank you guys for watching.